So I'm constantly asked about pets all the time in this game, over and over again, and recently it's been more constantly than normal. So I'm gonna go over pets again in this video. I've already made videos in the past saying the exact same thing, which is the reason there is no specific answer to what pet loadout is the best is because each individual class has a real life person behind the screen playing that class, and each person has their own stereotype of how they play this game. Each person has an end goal that is different from one another. Each person has a different way to kill enemies in each map. And also, maps are kind of different depending on what map you're running versus what pet ability you're using or pet happiness bonus. Like, for example, here, if I was to, you seen in my video, I know some of you have seen the video I posted of me doing Breckenridge 300 times. I was not using a damage buff pet. I was using a movement speed buff happiness bonus, and I was using Venom, a pet that follows behind with an AoE that kills enemies behind me. But like, if you're a person farming Mausoleum, you're going to be using Glowstick Arcane ability, so it removes the curse from the little mages so you don't get one shot doing damage to other enemies. So this is why there's no specific answer that people can give when it comes down to pets, is because each map has a specific way to run it at the most efficient rate, and each individual person has a different set of gears, a different style of gameplay. Like, you see some warriors use Zara's set, and I don't use that. I just use Chasmil, Dozerax, Neptaris, and Polaris. Don't use anything other than those weapons. Oh yeah, I use Terrorblade as well, which not many people use. So it depends on what you're using. I mean, it has so many different types of factors to each class and things like that, each map. But in this video, I'm going to go over what pets you should use in the Elite Sunken Fleet, because that's the most relevant map to this day. That's the map that everyone's using to farm gold loot or golden, just things like that. So before I start with any of the classes, I want to start off with a pet that every class, every person who is new to this game should start out with. It's a very weird answer, I know, but you will understand as I explain. So you're going to start out with a gold loot pet. The reason for this is because you're trying to get as much gold as possible to afford the more expensive stuff, aka the mythic gears and things like that. This pet right here will maybe cost you around 1,000,000 gold to make. You can get Red's egg for like, I don't know, 20,000 gold in the auction, which is cheap as hell. But you want to start out with gold loot. Even on your gears, you want to start out with like getting gold loot gears before you start with getting mythics and arcanes, because gold loot only costs a few 100,000 for like 40% on each piece. As for a mythic item, it's going to cost a couple million. And you think of it this way, so if you're a new player and you're starting this game, you're going to have legendary gears equipped. You don't have any sort of proc, so getting a pet that gives you damage is literally helping you do 500 damage more to the enemies in endgame, when you need to be doing hundreds of thousands of more, and that's not going to help you at all. And also, you already have people farming the Elite Sunken Fleet because it's the best place to get gold. You have people there 24/7 farming it, so run with them. They'll help you throughout the map, they'll carry you. You just have to keep up with them. If you're using gold loot and you're keeping up with them, you're going to get a lot of gold quickly. If you're focused on getting mythic and arcane gears at the start, you have no gold loot, it's going to take you a damn long time to get them. So you have to think of it in ways that make sense. So first pet, start out with a gold loot pet. That's the best option. Helps you get gold faster. It's just something you should start with. The next thing you should do after you have enough gold is buy a mythic weapon. The level 81 mythic staff, the Aquarius, or the Polaris on the warrior, Aquarius for the mage, and Pisces for the rogue. These weapons are going to help you kill stuff faster. After that, you're going to focus on getting a powerful pet. You want to start getting your gears up before you start getting your pets up, because if you start your pets up, it's not going to help you at all. If you get your gears up, your gears are going to help you do a crap ton more damage, and pets will ever help you. Pets, overpowered pets, I mean, they help a lot when you use Neptaris, for example. Like Heroic Garlic on my warrior, I get 25% haste, helps me attack faster. But if I'm using legendary stuff and I get the best pet, it's literally not going to help me at all, because I'm still using legendary gears. I maybe do a couple thousand more damage, versus if I get Neptaris and then this stuff, each swipe I do does over 200,000 damage. Haste helps with that. So first pet's going to be Goldu. Now I'm going to go over warrior pets in this. So for warrior, if you have just purchased your first mythic weapon, which should be Polaris, and then next your next weapon's gonna be Neptaris, but that's later down the road. You want to start with getting Heroic Garlic. This happiness bonus, it can be even Mythic Garlic as well if you still don't have a good budget, but Heroic Garlic is the best warrior pet because of its haste. This helps you attack faster. This helps you proc faster. This is what helps a warrior become powerful, is haste. So Heroic Garlic is going to be your happiness bonus. Your arcane ability is going to be Heroic Tatep, because if you're farming these endgame maps, you're going to want to attack as fast as possible with Neptaris. And with Polaris, you don't need to attack as fast as possible. If you are still focused on Polaris or using Polaris as the main weapon and you don't have Neptaris, use something that's going to give you a huge damage buff. You can literally just search through the pets for that, or ask people throughout towns and stuff. But I wouldn't waste time on that. I would just get Heroic Tatep, because it already does give you damage buff and it helps you attack faster. Just simple stuff like that. For the passive ability, it's different. All three classes use this same passive ability, which is going to be Arcane Sapphire. This gives you a damage buff to your character, because every single pet in this game, its attacks are trash. It does like 100 to 1000 damage to enemies. It is so useless to use pets as a damage source in this game, and it sucks, because the player is stuck doing all of the work, as the pet is literally there just to buff their stats. That's all the pet is there for, is to buff the person's stats. So Arcane Sapphire is a passive. Heroic Garlic is the happiness bonus on a warrior. Heroic Tatep is the arcane ability on a warrior. So I'm going to go on to mage now. So for mage, it's the same as the warrior. Arcane Sapphire passive. Heroic Garlic happiness. But the arcane ability is diversal. So if you are a mage that wants to speedrun the living hell out of maps, I'd suggest using Magma's arcane ability. This will summon fire around your character, which for some reason works as player damage, meaning that player damage activates procs. This is going to help you proc your arcane vest and your staff faster. This is what like top mages use, but I don't even use it on my mage because I don't have extremely high movement speed. This is like an end game arcane ability to use, so it's kind of diverse on mage. It's the same happiness bonus, of course, Heroic Garlic, but the arcane ability, it can be Heroic Tatep if you want to use like Smuggler's Gun versus bosses after you proc your staff. It can be some type of damage buffing pet. You just want something to buff the living hell out of your damage on your mage for the arcane ability. Haste helps a lot on mage, but as an arcane ability, it doesn't help in as much as it does for warrior. So mage is kind of diverse on the arcane ability, but it's pretty simple to figure out for yourself your end game. I just suggest using Magma for your procs. If you're starting out, just use some type of damage buffing pet. So now on to Rogue. Rogue is the most diverse class out of the three when it comes down to pets, because if you're a new rogue, I would highly suggest getting Arcanite Leveling. This gives you a good stat boost on damage, and it gives you 25% damage reduction stacking. People used to say Arcanite B-Mine was the best, but that was because they focused towards damage, like the damage on the rogue. They didn't focus on damage reduction. And if you're focused on doing damage and surviving, you want Arcanite leveling because of the damage reduction stacking. If you are using damage reduction stacking, you can go and buy a 25% damage reduction elixir, which is a non-stacking elixir, and it will work with your damage reduction stacking pet. But if you're using Arcanite Beamine, it gives you 25% damage non-stacking, meaning it does not stack with this elixir. If you open this elixir and have that pet summoned, you will only have 25% damage reduction non-stacking. It will not go up to 50. So that's why I choose Arcanite leveling over Arcanite Beamine. Now, if you're a rogue and you're focused primarily towards doing the most damage, you're going to look at Arcanite Samson. This pet is like one of the best damage happiness bonus pets in the game, but it does come with a hefty price tag compared to Arcanite leveling, which is also why I think this pet is the best happiness bonus for a rogue. Some people out there actually use haste on the rogue, and I'm kind of against that because you are a rogue, you have a 2-second and 1-second cooldown on your skills. Putting haste on a 1-second cooldown is like throwing a bucket of water into the ocean. It literally helps with nothing. So that's kind of my answer to rogue. For the arcane ability, it's the same as a mage. You just want to use something that gives you a high damage buff. It could be Mephisto, it can be Arcanite Werewiger. It can be all kinds of different pets, like this pet here gives you 30% damage, 30% boss damage, and 30% elite damage, all at the same time. So if you're farming an elite map, and you're standing in this aura, you're getting 60% damage against a boss, and a 30% damage buff on your character, all at once. On a rogue, you just want to do the maximum damage output, but you at the same time you want to have a survivability rate, so that when you're trying to proc your Pisces daggers, if you haven't experienced Pisces yet, they're a pain in the ass to proc. You're literally standing in a whole entire group of mobs as if a warrior would do to try procking something, and you're trying to proc your daggers. And I mean, common sense, if you're staying in a group of mobs, they're all attacking you at once, you're gonna die if you don't proc. It's stupid. Spacetime Studios these developers don't know what the fuck they're doing half the time, and it does annoy me because this game it's a gem, it's a diamond. And what they're doing with it is they're literally stepping on it and they're crushing it with a hammer. They're adding weapons to the game that do not make sense at all. And yeah, Warrior literally destroys bosses, more powerful than what we had when we had proc stacking. Mages destroy enemies faster than what we had when we were proc stacking. Rogues, literally, they nuke the living hell out of enemies, but their proc, literally, you have to sit there in a group of enemies in order to proc. And you have to be a tank on a rogue in order to be efficient. It makes no sense. Warriors are doing rogues' jobs, rogues are doing warriors' jobs, and mages are, I mean, they're in between. They're sort of there, it's just they're too powerful. Kind of went off topic for a bit, but I just wanted to explain why you want a damage reduction pet on a rogue. So that's my input on pets. Hopefully you guys understand now as to why every person you ask in this game about pets, that you would get a different answer from, because they have their own type of gameplay and no one kind of plays the same. You go out there, I mean, of course there's top of the top pets like Hero Garlic, almost everyone uses it, but some people don't. It depends on what type of person you are, what type of player you are, things like that. So anyways, good luck. I'm gonna end the video here.